a lot. Can everybody hear me like this, or is it from? Yes. I don't need a microphone. For today, I spoke last week with NS team. I don't gonna play the piece in total. We decided last week to make, due to some little timing problems, to make a work-in-progress presentation. So we will mainly give an introduction to the piece, explain a little bit what it is about, show you some sounds and some parts, and then you get the chance probably later on to watch it sometime on YouTube. First of all, I want to thank my composer. I'm very, very happy and proud to present today to you Schöner Leben 4, Sumo DD, by Martin Schüttler, and I must say I'm very happy that we had a long working process, that today we can present almost everything of this piece. He is for me one of the most fascinating composers of the younger generation living in Germany. He's currently teaching in Frankfurt and in Marburg at the university, and he got some prizes like the renowned Kranichsteiner Prize of the Darmstädter courses for contemporary music. And next year there will come in his first portrait CD by the German label Verbo. We know each other actually for quite a long time. We studied together in Essen, and in fact we shared for 1.5 years the same apartment. And when I moved in, he asked me, do you like contemporary music? And I said, yes, a lot. And he asked me, what do you know? And in fact, it was not so much. Then he introduced me to a lot of composers that I'd never heard of, to his teacher, Nikolaus A. Huber, to Helmut Lachenmann, of course to his own compositions and his fellow students. And I was very, very fascinated by the soundscape, by the way of composing and dealing with contemporary composition. In fact, it took me some years. After I had done almost all my studies in Amsterdam, I decided to do my master research here for the research program on this group of composers, to find out more closely what is special about their thinking and their way of writing contemporary music. They can be summarized by the title Critical Composition, Critical Composers and Critical Listening. That's what they want to hear. They depart from a same point of view, and that is the point that every single sound we hear has already a historical package that we cannot set apart from a tone. So, for example, when I just play a chord, a large chord, whatever it is, it will somehow remind of romantic music, because it's already in the arpeggio, it's in the harp sound. It will make our mind connected to this time period. Also, when I play, for example, a flageolet, it will remind us of contemporary music, of impressionistic music, and we have already a certain picture of the whole surrounding of the tone, where it comes from and where it belongs to. When I do, in contrary, when I do a sound like this, it will us, of course, remind of something else, of the 60s, of contemporary music, of nowadays. And we cannot set the tones apart from these things that happens in our mind and that are connected to the sounds. The same is about the structure of a piece. So when we start to listening to something, we very fast make up our mind how the piece should go on, how the development in time should take place. So when something starts very soft and slow, and it slowly gets a little bit more crowded, then we expect it to go on and perhaps to come back with something. This coming back is a very, very important issue. So we know it from the sonata form, from the rondo form, things coming back, and we expect them to come back in a certain time. And to give also we have the feeling then it can come to a conclusion in the end. The piece is rounded up when something comes back, when we feel a certain bow in the piece. So the idea of this group of composers is not to let us dive into this kind of process that is happening, and not to fulfill all our expectations, and but to shock us, to surprise us with very unexpected happenings, to give to the piece a sudden moment where it totally turns around, where we get conscious of what we were expecting before. And that is also happening in sounds they choose, especially in Martin's pieces, using very contrasting sounds that somehow don't fit. Perhaps it's even not always a very comfortable listening, I must say, but it's very, very strong and grasping the listener and prickles the senses to realize what we had made up our mind. So perhaps now I can ask the composer, and we will show all this, what I've told now, in the new piece. But perhaps Martin can tell first how we worked and what we found out working with the harp.
Yes, well, thank you, Miriam, for the warm welcome, and thank you for your interest. And once again, thank you for the very good collaboration, because it was really a great pleasure to work with you. And indeed, we tried a lot, and we tried for several days. I visited her to try everything that's possible on this strange instrument for modern music. It's not so often used, so it was important for me to try a lot of possible sounds and to find everything what is besides the traditional use of this instrument. And some of these sounds we found. We're going to present you at the beginning, just to show how I'm going to use this sound in the piece, and how this instrument is transformed from its traditional use to a different, more, you say, shocking. Maybe it's just a different kind of listening. So why not start with the first sound, the first sound in the piece.
Produced by plectrons. I taped it to my finger to make it more comfortable, to be more flexible, to do also other sounds. So it's the strings, and then we have a big amplification that I can switch on and off with my foot here.
And as you can see, it's a traditional technique of glissando, but it's transformed to a register or to an area of the harp where it's usually not used. So it's a motion, a traditional motion in a different way. So the second sound, it's another one, just show it. I'm sure you all the harp players here in the room, I think there are a lot, they know this sound, and it's usually avoided to hear it. And in this case, I turn it around and present it with amplification. So this is a very typical harp sound, which is more or less something disturbing, which now becomes a constructive part of the piece. And disturbing also is the sound from this CD player. There are electronical sounds, very electronical sounds, which are fitting into this piece or even not fitting. You can listen by yourself, just present some of the sounds.
And I don't merge at all. Huh? One track.
Maybe not about.
That's another one.
So you can see there is distortion and disturbing sounds from the electronics, from the harp, and at least there's one other preparation in the deeper register of the harp, which is amplified too, and maybe you can present it now. So, a lot of very noisy sounds, which are not really typical for the harp, I think.